Hello and welcome back to another episode of Spectre Approved, the video games podcast where two gamers play through a game that gives us both a phobia of mimes by the end of it. I'm your host Adam and I'm joined once again by Fenris. How are you?
I'm doing well, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I really appreciate the laughs I get with my intros because I do put quite a bit of effort into thinking of a nice comedic warm open there. So thank you.
No problem. They're funny.
I try. So what's been going on the past couple of weeks?
Not much. I haven't played as much 14 as I would like because all of my time has been invested in this game. All in total, I played about 45 hours over the past 2 weeks, and it was a roller coaster.
Yeah, this was definitely our longest game to date, I feel. I also ended up clocking in at about 45 hours myself.
Nice.
However, I was able to do a little bit more gaming in between that as well. I've started playing 2 new games. The first one being Crime Scene Cleaner, which is a new game released on Xbox Game Pass recently. And it's very much in the lines of like Power Wash Simulator, Car Mechanic Simulator, all those real simulator games. However, it's playing it from a different perspective than I thought, because I initially thought that it would be a game where you play on the side of like working for the police and cleaning up a crime and helping catch a killer. No, they actually spin the premise around on this one, where you work for a cleaning business. But you get a call from a murderer or a criminal, and you have to go clean up their mess to stop the police from catching them.
That is a fantastic twist.
Yeah, it was. I really wasn't expecting it when I booted up the game. And, you know, it's a good time passer, I like to call them podcast listening to games, because they're games you can just immerse yourself in them and just do what you need to do whilst you're listening to a podcast, or you're watching something in the background, or listening something to the background. Just a real good time spender. I won't call it a time waster because I find it really enjoyable, but a time spender game.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the other game I started this fortnight is AO Tennis 2, which stands for Australian Open Tennis 2, made by an Australian sports company. They also made the AFL Evolution games, and it's your basic sports simulation game for tennis. So probably not the most interesting sport to a lot of people, but it's a sport that I grew up with playing. I got to a fairly competitive level, nothing too major, and I just enjoy the sport. Just run through the career mode, creating a player, going through the tournaments, upgrading your player as time goes until you become world number 1. The shtick that most sports games engage in.
Yeah.
But I think, also, because I just must have a heap of free time. It's wonderful. I've started watching Hunter x Hunter in terms of anime. I really want to revisit some classics that I've never either started or finished, because I think we talked about it last episode, and like how anime has really changed its format from the real long seasons that would last years to the 12 episode seasons where we have a couple of years break in between.
Yeah.
And this is the remake of Hunter x Hunter, because I believe there was an older one from the early 2000s that kind of stopped, and
Yeah, I
then they
think it
gave it the
was 2001 or
yeah, and
2003 or something, and then they redid it in like 2011 or something.
so I'm watching the 2011 one because I think they gave it the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment,
Yeah.
and Hunter x Hunter itself has been on a hiatus for a number of years, and I
Yeah.
think I heard a rumor that it's coming back. Um, but yeah, I think from memory they gave this series the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment, where at the time of the original series they caught up with the manga and had to do a lot of filler, which made it shit. So they just ended up remaking it.
Okay.
So I've just finished, or I'm quite close to the end of the first arc. Gon has just got his hunter license, but I'm really enjoying it so far.
Good. I
Yeah.
too have actually jumped back into anime,
Ooh,
and
nice.
I finished the fifth season of uh, Don Machi, or is it wrong to pick up
Is
girls in
Yep.
dungeons?
Yeah,
That is
cool.
that has quickly become one of my top 10 favorite anime, and it's so good. And
Great.
then I recently started Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody.
Yes, nice. Yep.
Um, it's a harem anime, and there's some underage nudity on the fourth episode. That was kind of
Oh,
surprising, but
okay.
it's not it's quote unquote tasteful because everything's covered up, but there's definitely a bath scene where the three girls are bathing each other, and it's like 5 seconds. So
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that one because that's the isekai like harem Gennaro type thing, isn't it?
yeah,
With the
uh,
OP
uh,
protagonist, or
yeah, it's an OP protagonist isekai, a dude in his 30s who's drowning at work. He goes to sleep and wakes up in this video game, and he kills like 20 lizard men, and then all of a sudden like all of his stats are maxed out and he's very fucking strong, and it's one of those. It's been interesting so far. It's only a 12 episode anime and there's no sequels or anything, so I mean, like, it's kept my interest, so I'm gonna finish it. And
yeah, cool.
yeah.
I remember enjoying it when I watched it. It's just been a number of years, and I've probably watched hundreds of anime in the interim. So I forget the overall premise of it, or the nitty gritties, really. But I love Danmachi. I think I've only gotten up to season 4, the one where they meet the talking monster girl.
Yeah, that was the last season. That was a really good season.
Okay, yep.
This next season, like, things go off the fucking rails and it's crazy. But
Yeah, cool. I see it has more Freya involvement in the memes I've been seeing because it's another meme bait anime. Um, so yeah, I'll get to it eventually
it's very good.
once I finish all 180 episodes of Hunter x Hunter.
That is also on my list.
Yeah. I thought about Bleach, but I saw it and I'm like, oh, 380 is just too much for me to conquer at the moment. Plus Thousand Year War. Um, oh no, that's Fairy Tale, isn't it?
No, Thousand Year
What
Blood
it?
War arc is
Oh,
the
yep.
newest adaptation, and Bleach. It got released, what, 2 years ago, and I think the second season is supposed to be coming out soon.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a while. I think I only got up to. Oh, I can't even remember the arc. Grimjow just got introduced, but Bleach is just too much for me to conquer at the moment. I think Hunter x
That's
Hunter's got
fair.
actually a really good pace, even though it took like 18 episodes for going just to get his Hunter license. The episodes aren't boring, and the site I use identifies filler episodes as well, um, so I don't feel guilty about skipping them.
Yeah, I use one of those for the longer anime. I still have to get through all of the Sailor Moon
Ah,
anime.
yep. Nice. Yep. I
But
started watching Crystal, which I think was the remake, which I really enjoyed the condensed version of it. Wasn't a fan really of the animation style, um, but I enjoyed the story. It was
yeah,
good having it in the condensed version because Sailor Moon was one of those anime that you watch. Well, that I started watching anyway, is like the morning cartoons before school.
yeah.
It always had like the three, normally Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, and like Beyblade or something like that, or Pokemon, and it just kind of cycled through those Toonami type anime that were appropriate for kids at the time. Um, and yeah, I remember liking the original Sailor Moon quite a bit. Um, Again, just fell off it when they started doing the second, third, fourth seasons.
Yeah, I don't really remember much about that, but it was aired on a show called Toonami when I was a kid, and it was usually a random anime and Dragon Ball Z, of course. And the show that I really tried to tune into was Reboot, but we'll not talk about that because it's not technically an anime.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever heard of that one.
it's it's so good, and it was way before its time.
Yeah, okay.
But so
Speaking
anyway,
of non-animes, the show that the show that had those animes on it, it was called Cheese TV. For any Australians listening who want to take a trip down 90s nostalgia lane, also had Code Lyoko and stuff like that. Like it, Biker Mice from Mars. It had actual cartoons in there as well, which got me really confused when I was hearing that Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon were actually anime out of Japan because I had no idea as a kid because they were just shown alongside these cartoons.
I mean the mid to late '90s is when anime really, I feel, took off in mainstream media, and
Yep.
nobody really knew what to do with it, so they just chucked it in with other cartoons.
Yeah, and then they had like the late night cartoons as well, or the edgier cartoons, and that's where I kind of got into my first, well, what I consider the first proper anime that I watched, or the anime I knew was anime, which was Death Note.
Oh,
I'm sure you guys in the US would have had a similar type thing where it was like later in the evening, 8:30, 9:30 time slot, where they showed like the edgier stuff.
yeah. See, mine was Gundam Wing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. It is like Gundam Wing. I think it was just Gundam Wing. I don't remember, but the main character was Hiro Yui. Brown hair, brown eyed, green A shirt wearing kid who was edgy and was all about killing himself for the mission.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, won't even get started on Gundam because I've had to play a few of the video games. I've been really kind of put off from a lot of the anime just from the timeline, like similar to how we're doing the games now, like going back and doing stuff in order. I also try and do that with anime where I can, and just the Gundam timeline. I pulled up a graphic of it one time, and it's just so bloody confusing. Um, that being said, I really enjoyed Iron Blooded Orphans and Witch of Mercury, or Witch from Mercury.
Yeah, which of Mercury I heard had a really polarizing review. You
Okay.
either liked it or you didn't. But from what I understand about it, it was basically just Macbeth.
Yeah, from what I've only seen season one, but
Okay.
yeah, pretty
So I
much.
mean, yeah.
But
So I,
having no Gundam history really, apart from Iron Blooded Orphans, I enjoyed it. I'm guessing the more hardcore fans would probably pick up inconsistencies or that sort of thing that fandoms love to do. like us
Yeah.
with Star Wars last fortnight.
So anyway,
But sometimes it's beneficial coming into a series with no knowledge of it.
yeah. It's and that was kind of me with Gundam, because like I said, my first foray into the Gundam was Gundam Wing, and that, from what I understand, is hailed as one of the lesser liked Gundams. I don't know why. It was my first one, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah,
But I also
you never
haven't
forget your
really,
first.
yeah. So,
But speaking of anime, because the game that we played this fortnight is anime adjacent, at least, but
is
also
it?
very hotly debated as well. Well, I feel it kind of is, in the fact that turn-based RPGs are anime adjacent,
Okay.
and I would love to see an anime for this as well, if it was done properly.
Yeah, I feel like that
But
would be a really cool thing.
the game that we played was Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which was your host pick, Fenris.
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of led you to this?
Uh, I. It had been a couple weeks since it had dropped, and I had heard absolutely nothing but good things about it. And eventually, I had heard that the combat was reminiscent to Legend of Dragoon, which is also on our list. And
Mm-hmm.
so like that made me want to play it because Legend of Dragoon is one of my favorite PlayStation 1 JRPGs. Um, and so it's just that is it. Like I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about the gameplay or the story or anything. It was just the combat is Legend of Dragoon. So I was like, cool, bet, let's go.
Yeah, nice. So I had kind of forgotten about this game because I played this on Game Pass first up. Um, and I remember originally seeing it back in the Xbox Game Showcase back in June 2024. And I remember seeing it. Oh yeah, cool. A Western turn-based RPG coming out for Xbox at the time. I didn't know it would be coming out for everything else. Um, French development team. Cool. Looks good. And then I just kind of forgot about it until it was released in April this year. And it coming to Game Pass really helped. I played through the prologue and really enjoyed it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'll get to that eventually. And it kind of went on the backlog because we started the podcast, so we had games for that. Produced by Samful Interactive, and it's a bunch of dudes and women, from who came from Ubisoft. They were kind of sick of what was going on there and wanted some more freedom. So it was kind of headed up by Guillaume Broche, who was a former Ubisoft developer who during the COVID-19 pandemic sketched out his ideas inspired by his love for classic JRPGs like Final Fantasy and Persona. So he got together a small team of about 30 developers, secured funding, and then, yeah, they made this game.
And it is very French.
It is very French. So much so that I actually went and did some reading on the French history to kind of brush up on the themes for this because I was hearing talk from the media zeitgeist and I kept myself spoiler free as much as I could, and I'm very glad I did because this story takes some twists and turns.
Oh yeah.
Once again, we will be having our generic chat. Fenris and I have done put a lot in place so we don't spoil anything early, because despite this being a new game, it also has a bunch of twists and turns throughout. So we will keep it very generic until our spoiler wall, and then we'll be delving deep into the story from there. So I played this on PC Game Pass, like I said. Where did you play this?
I played it just on straight PC. I purchased it.
Okay. And how long did it take you to beat?
About 45 hours, and
Okay.
without even trying, I made it to 71% on achievements.
Yeah, nice. For me, it was 48 hours, 23 minutes, and I ended up getting 775 gamer score out of 1,000, so 77% for me.
Nice. And what was your first reaction to it?
Um, I thought it was very beautiful to start off with. It was the first game since playing my PC that asked me to update my graphics card in NVIDIA. So I'm like, ooh, okay, this is going to be a graphics intensive game, which they really utilize Unreal Engine 5 so well throughout this. And I thought the traversal was really good and unique. I love the sprint of just being able to hold it down and the traversal. The combat, however, kind of pushed me off it initially, because whilst it is a turn-based JRPG in the strongest sense of the word, in the fact that you can get up and walk away from your PC if it is your turn, and go do what you need to do, and it will stay there, which is very helpful. The dodge and the parry mechanics were something that took me a long while to get used to. Like, I have played games with similar mechanics, more from the Mario and Luigi kind of sense, more than anything else. But I have played these type of games before. But I felt that because I played this game on easy to start with, I felt that the parry and dodge window was quite unforgiving. So I got past the prologue. The team got to the island and chaos ensued from there. And that was kind of where I dropped it off until we brought it back for the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, how about your first impressions?
I hated it.
Yep. Tell us more.
So, me being what I would like to consider a casual hardcore gamer, I just was like, cool, let's just play this on medium like I do with everything else. And the parry dodge mechanic just fucked me up. And I was not having a good time with it. But then, probably about 10 hours in, like, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna, you know, drop the difficulty and try that out and see if that helps the gameplay at all. And it really did. The combat just was so much more enjoyable after that. And then I really grew to enjoy it. But with you, like, the first thing I noticed was just how amazing the graphics were. And like you said, the traversal system, unlike you, I didn't realize that the sprint was a thing until much later, because
Okay, yeah.
I was just walking and then jogging, and I thought the
That
jog was the sprint.
that probably explains the conversation we had where I said to you, I'm like, oh, I really like the sprint. And you're like, oh,
It's
it's not
so
that great. It's not
slow.
fast. Yeah. Okay, that's why. That explains it.
Yeah.
It's
So
me with
yeah.
the Chrono Trigger map all over again.
Oh, well, I mean, that was me too. So, but
Um,
yeah, I had a really rough go at it until about 10, 15 hours in, and then just dropping the difficulty and just getting out of my own head about, not doing that, just it really helped. And I'm really glad I did because this is a really enjoyable game.
yep. So for those that haven't picked up the game yet, but maybe listening to us because you want to find out what we think, and if you do want to jump into the game, a bit of a basic setting. So you're in a town or a country called Lumiere. Your main playable character is a man called Gustav, who is an adult JRPG or turn-based RPG protagonist, which is once again refreshing to see that we're not a bunch of 17-year-old teenagers. Although you do get to play as a 17-year-old if you so wish. Um, and he is going around and setting out on an expedition to this god-forsaken island because what is happening in the world at the moment for Gustav and his friends is that every year, depending on your age, dropping down from 100, you die into what is called a gromage, in which you turn into rose petals and fade away. So this year it is for everyone who is turning 33. So Gustav has to say goodbye to his girlfriend. I've forgotten her name.
Emma? Or was that his sister?
I think Emma was his sister.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gustav sees his girlfriend gromaged in front of his eyes. So him and the other expeditioners go across to the island to stop this being known as the Paintress, who, when she lowers the number on a big glowing rock out in the ocean that they can see, that has a big number recorded on it, as you can see on the cover art for the game. When that number goes down, people of that age get gromaged. And joining Gustav is a number of people on the expedition, including his adoptive daughter, Mael, who is 16, I believe.
Something like that. 16,
Yeah.
17. Yeah.
So the expedition gets across to the island, and immediately they meet a mysterious man who looks really old because they describe him as having white hair. And he kills the majority of the expedition. So then Gustav has to find the remaining alive members of the expedition and work to stop the Paintress. And that's the
Yep.
basic overview of the plot. The mysterious man did not have white hair on
No.
my... No,
No, he
okay, it wasn't
didn't.
just me? Good.
I
Okay.
think what they meant by white hair was that they had white in their hair.
Okay, because...
Just to symbolize a certain age.
Yep. Okay, good. I was wondering if that was a translation thing as well. Because I played this game in English. You can play it in its native French, which, like anime, may be better in its native language. I don't know. I really liked the voice actors in the English version, particularly because Gustav is Charlie Cox of Daredevil fame, and he looks like Robert Pattinson. They should have
Yeah.
got Robert Pattinson for to voice Gustav, really.
Yeah, that was one thing I did not know it was Charlie Cox, but I agree with you that he looked like Robert Pattinson.
Yep. So that's kind of the world setting from there. And like we said, the gameplay is turn-based RPG. You have a basic attack a skill, a parry, and a dodge. And to be honest, there was so much world building terminology thrown at me that I didn't understand the bulk of it for a good period of the game, until you sent me that video, Fenris. Yeah. How would you explain Lumina?
Honestly, after playing with it for a while, like I understand why people are hesitant, or not really hesitant, but why they have issues understanding it, because it is kind of a clunky game mechanic design, in the sense that while you're exploring the area, you pick up these things called pictos, which are kind of like um, stat boosts that are accompanied by different things that you can do, such as like you gain AP during combat, and you spend AP to do attacks. So like you might pick up a +1 AP per parry or dodge, and along with that you get, like, depending on what the picto is, like plus 500 health or plus 200 speed or whatever. And then once you use that picto for whenever you have a picto equipped, and you do any combat and you come out successful 4 times with that picto equipped, you automatically get a Lumina, which is basically the picto without the stat boost. So you get the I'm missing the word here, but you get the plus a 1 AP per dodge or parry, whatever it is, without the stat boost. And then over time, you build this entire list of all these Lumina that you can get, and you can also pick up, I forget what it's called, but they give you a growing point list to where you can add more and more Lumina. And I get why it's confusing, but after playing with it for a while, it kind of became second nature.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. Because there is a lot of different systems and a lot of items that come up on the screen when you pick it up, and they're not there for very long to read the description, if I'm being honest. So sometimes all you can read is the title, and you might be like, what the hell did I just pick up? Because it might say something like perfect chromatic booster, and I'm like, what the hell does that do? Because there's a number of systems. Like Fenris said, you've got your health points, which are pretty self-explanatory, your AP, which is action points, which determine the skills that you can do in battle. Each skill costs a certain number of AP. And then you've got your Lumina, which is like your buffs and debuffs that you can equip 3 each to each character. However, when you unlock those Lumina after a certain number of battles, normally between 3 to 5, I found, they can be then spread across the party using the Lumina points, for want of a better word. You can allocate points to your individual party members, which then allow you to use other party members' buffs and debuffs across the party.
Yeah,
I think I explained that properly.
Yeah. And then the thing about Pictos and Lumina is that if you had a Picto equipped with one character, you could not equip it with another character, because it's essentially like an item that you pick up and equip. And then once you learn the ability, it becomes almost like a knowledge point to where the entire party can use it.
Yep.
So, I mean, that was a pretty cool system. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I can see why people would be confused about it.
Yeah, I would recommend watching a spoiler-free video about how to do the things in the game. We might even share the video that you shared with me, Fenris, in the link or the episode description. because I really found that my enjoyment of the game doubled, almost tripled, after I knew that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because you also have weapons that you can upgrade, you have costumes, you have hairstyles. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, and I want to touch on the weapon upgrade thing real quick
Yep.
because I feel like excuse me. The having you pick up the items that you need to upgrade your weapons before you can upgrade your weapons was I feel like that is a confusing thing because like you're picking up these things and you have no idea what to do. All it says is use these to upgrade weapons at camp, and then you're like, well, what is camp? And then you
Yeah.
finally get to camp and it's just like, okay, well, how do I upgrade these weapons? And you can't find it. And then things happen and story plots develop, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, now you can upgrade your weapon. And then it doesn't
Yeah.
really, yeah, so
100%. I thought I had missed something entirely because I wasn't able to upgrade my weapons. But I was picking all this weapon upgrade gear. The good side about that is you're able to upgrade your weapons nearly up to level 10 by the time you can actually upgrade them because you've got all this stored resources that you can then use in the camp. And just briefly on the camp, because it is your kind of safe haven once you get out into the open world, because yes, this game does have an open world component as well, with
I would
traversal
consider it
systems.
more of an overworld instead of an open world, if that makes any
Uh,
sense.
yeah, that's true. Um, but you eventually have a number of traversal systems through it, including um, like vertical kind of exploration, which was wonderful. I wasn't expecting that at all, and I think that's something more modern RPGs need to adopt as well. I really like the ability, probably in the second third or last third of the game, to where it just opens up vertically for you in both directions, above and below, that you can then explore.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that.
Um, but then, did you have any mechanical issues? First off,
Uh,
like any falling through walls or anything like that?
that was a very specific thing. But no. The only like visual bug I had was like dancing hair. There was one time where I had a character whose hair was just kind of like twitching violently, but that was about
Yep.
it.
Yeah. Another pro I'll give this game straight away, which I give along anything where it's customizable. Hair and outfits come through to cutscenes,
Yes, but weapons do
except
not.
for the very few. No, don't they?
No,
No, they
they
don't.
use the
Yeah.
original weapons, and I did not like that.
Yep. Yeah, and there was a certain cutscene in Act 3 where I had everyone go back to their expedition uniforms, or their default uniforms, rather than the hilarious ones that I had them dressed in.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like the game respected your time?
Uh, kind of. Kind of. Some boss fights took a hell of a long time. But I think that may have been me challenging them before I was ready to.
Same.
Um, I'm looking at Sprong here, who that name gives no context, so I don't really see it as a spoiler. That was an enemy that took me about 2 hours to defeat.
I think my longest boss battle was like 30 minutes.
Okay. What wasn't like I ended up quitting out because it wasn't the fact that it was killing me, it was the fact that it was so spongy that even though I was hitting the damage cap, it just wasn't going down. Um, but yeah, apart from that, yes, um, I made a bit of a boo-boo in the fact that you had to open waypoints to actually have them for fast travel. I just ran up to them and kind of rubbed myself against them and thought that unlocked them. So I missed a lot of fast travel points in the early areas of the game. But I feel like the save points were really well placed. Like there was a lot of them around the world in level, and on the open world you could save at any time,
Yeah.
as per JRPG.
This I feel like this game did respect my time. I really enjoyed, like you said, the fast travel components of it, even though I barely ever used it. And that's something that you can look like this mechanic here with the save points is exactly the fast travel system that they use in Jedi Survivor. Um, so um, I enjoyed the save points. I always locked them in just because like I I didn't realize that once you got to the save point, like it automatically saved. I thought you had to activate it.
Okay, yep.
So, I would always find a flag and just, open the menu and then close the menu and then just keep going. Um,
Yep.
but, yeah, I mean,
The autosaves was super generous actually, because I remember reading and I tried it and experimented to make sure it was true. Even if you just go into the menu at any point, change your weapon out, change your clothing out, change your hairstyle out, it autosaved from there. So you could essentially have a save at any time without the actual save function being in the main menu.
I did not know that. And that would have been really useful knowledge to know during some of these traversal puzzles.
Yeah. Um, Another point of contention that I personally didn't have a problem with was the lack of a mini map. I actually kind of enjoyed it because the game gave us a really good way of staying on the beaten path, but also showing you, oh, if you go down this way, you're going to find some potentially cool treasure, which was the lighting. There were
Yeah.
lanterns that were lit in a lot of areas, and you just follow them, and that kind of led you on the critical path. And anytime there wasn't lanterns or a light source that kind of flickered, you weren't going, or you were going down some side content. Um, and you also had a compass, which was really helpful for the overworld as well. And I think it played in well to the story conceit that this is an unexplored continent that you're going to. Everybody who has ever been to this continent before you hasn't come back. So there's no known maps. So you are just navigating off a compass. And I think there was also a story conceit that every Gromage, the island shifted as well. Like it shifted around its parts.
Could,
Um,
yeah, it could be.
so a map would have been useless.
Yeah. And I feel like they played that off really well. I did not like the fact that there wasn't a map, because I felt like I kept getting lost. However, I do understand, and it did make sense why they didn't have a map.
Yep. And there was a map for the overworld, um, which was great.
Yeah.
And I believe it even did it. No, it didn't. It showed markers for places you could go into. It didn't show the um, the big nasties on the overworld.
No, and I really enjoyed the way that they did the overworld because I was a little confused about it at first because there's really no description or explanation of how it works. But I found
Yep.
out that um, on the overworld, you have these little icons of places that you can go, and it's just an icon. And then if you have like a quest open, like there's a red reticle around the place that you have to go. But if
Yep.
you're exploring, you can go to an icon and go into the dungeon or whatever you want to call it. And once you come out of there, the icon has a name on it. That way it tells you that you've been there. And I thought
Mhm.
that was, really intuitive. I really enjoyed that.
Yep. Yeah, that was great. And I also liked how you could see the beasties, like the really big ones, like the super bosses, from basically anywhere in the overworld. Like you could see the big ass sky dragon as you're walking kilometers away from it or
Oh
miles away
yeah.
from it, and I'm just like, oh, that's good. Is this thing going to come down and attack me if I walk under it, or do I need to wait till I can get up there to fight it? I think because I was a little bit ahead of you for the first portion of this game at least, and I was like, oh, don't walk into the big things on the overworld. You'll get fucked up.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
once you unlock the overworld and the map traversal, uh, before that, there's a cutscene, and Mael, one of your characters that you expedition with, um, she's like, "Oh yeah, don't touch the big ones because they're really dangerous." So I was like, "Cool, stay away from the Titans." Got it. So I
Yep.
did.
Another mechanic that I really liked was the merchants. Um, so these are souls esque scattered throughout the world as you go, and you can buy things off them, like your healing. They sell pictos, but they also have an extra item that if you defeat them in battle, you get access to. That was an awesome mechanic I found.
and
I
it,
really
it
enjoyed that.
and it fit in with the lore of these characters really well, because
Yeah,
these characters, we'll go into that later, but they're all about fighting. So if you fight them and you win, you get an extra item that's unlockable to buy.
yep. There was one that I found on the overworld that was like all of his were unlockable, like through a fight. That was it. He just wanted to really fight. So he had his 6 items that were all locked until you fought him. You only had to fight him once. Um, oh, one thing to say about these is these were one-on-one fights as well, because they're like a warrior race that sees honor in battle. So these were one-on-one fights, so you could only choose one character to fight them. It wasn't a full party team up kind of thing.
Yeah. And then there was a couple of them where you had to find others, like other merchants, to unlock items in their inventory. That was a little annoying, but it kind of made sense. I don't think I ever went back to them.
Yeah, this game does kind of play itself. It does have some Metroidvania elements where you need to return. Because did you ever complete the side story of finding the missing ones to get that ability to break the blue veiny rocks?
At the end of Act 2, I did.
Okay, I did not. So I saw all these rocks throughout, and I'm like, what the hell are they? So I ended up because I completely missed the guy that gives that quest in the camp because I did what I needed to do. The camp's very Dragon Age esque. You can go around, speak to all your companions, and you begin unlocking their relationship levels from there. And then you've got the entity that you can upgrade, do your upgrades and all that sort of thing. And that's I didn't explore the camp past that, so I completely missed this guy until right at the end of Act 3. Basically the point of no return. And he's like, oh, go throughout the world and find them, and I'll give you this cool ability. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Wish I would have found that sooner.
Yeah.
Did
Uh,
the did you get good rewards after you got that ability? Like, was it worth it? Do you feel?
I think that was the last thing that I got from that character.
Okay.
Because there are 9 that you have to find.
Yep.
And so, like, I was traversing the Act 1 and Act 2 places, like, all over the place. And I couldn't find any more. So, but I wasn't really, like, trying to find them. But if I was exploring an area, like, I would go through all the nooks and crannies in the overworld
Yep.
looking for them.
I did a similar thing, and I think I found about 3, but it didn't acknowledge that I'd already found them because I'd done them before I unlocked the quest, which I
That's weird.
found quite annoying. Um,
That might have been a bug.
yeah, I do like it when you can like explore an area once, go through, get everything, and then that's it. And then if you retroactively activate a side quest, it's already done. I really enjoy when games can do that, but yeah, it might have been a bug. Who knows? We're playing on PC,
Yeah.
and it's a new game.
So,
Did you want to? Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, did you want to speak about the blocking and parrying, or did you want to talk about something else first?
No, that's what I was gonna move on to.
Okay.
I My issue with this was that there are so many games out there with block and parry mechanics, and they're all different. And so when I was going into this, I was looking for a tell on the enemy. Like at first I thought it was like when they lit up or something, or when their weapon flashed, or something. But after the video I sent you, it's stupid brain dead simple. It's before the weapon hits you.
Yep.
So after I learned that, like, my dodge and parry got a little bit better, and this was before I dropped the difficulty. Um, but it was still freakishly difficult. So my reaction time is apparently just garbage. Um, but I
Yeah, I
mean
wouldn't
that
sell yourself short. Um, for those that haven't played the game, it's not just that we're shit at Souls games. There are 4 different mechanics that are personalized to enemy attacks. So you need to choose the right one when an enemy attacks you.
Yeah, 4 different dodges, 4 different button inputs, and split-second reaction times to hit the right button, and you're not always going to get it right.
Yep. Yeah, enemies faint. They do wind up attacks. They do spins that look like they're going to be attacks but end up being spins. So if you're encountering an enemy for the first time, you are going to get hit by it.
And see, and part of that video was, if you come across a new enemy, it's best to dodge first, because
Yeah.
your dodge window is a lot bigger than your parry window. So, like, dodge first, learn the mechanic, Souls like mechanic, and then whenever you come across it again, or you feel like you have a grasp on the attacks, then you can start parrying, because parrying is the way to go, because that's how you build your AP gauge.
Yep. And some fights can only be completed by parrying an enemy, because they'll be immune to all your elements and all your attacks.
Yep.
But the only way you can actually deal damage from a parry is by successfully parrying every attack from that enemy's turn,
Yeah,
which
it's
got really annoying real quick with some late game enemies for me.
yeah. There was one overworld boss that I found to be really funny, because the the whole mechanic was just dodge or parry, because he was so fast that did you ever come across that one? It was the big rock dude, and all he did was just like
Yes.
slam himself into you like 10 times in a row, and the
Yep.
only way to deal any amount of damage to him was to counterattack.
Yep. The cool thing about that was, for if the last move in an enemy's move set is an AoE, and you successfully parry it, you do a triple parry like response, and the whole team does a parry attack. That was really cool when you could pull that off.
I really enjoyed that too. And then pulling it off is just, mwah, chef's kiss.
Yep. And I will give the jump. The jump had a really open window as well, and a big X came across the screen, I believe, or you
Yeah.
knew when you need to do a jump attack.
Yeah, it was
And
some kind
same
of
with
sigil or
the
glyph.
yeah, and same with the right trigger R2 response. I've forgotten the special name for it.
The jump
The screen
counter.
went dark. No, the one where the screen goes
Oh,
dark.
the
They do like an
gradient.
ultimate.
The
Yeah,
gradient.
gradient. That's it. Gradient parry.
Yeah.
Um, the screen goes dark when they're about to do that attack, and you can just basically hold in the right trigger / R2, and you'll pull off a gradient parry. So those ones were quite forgiving. It was just a regular parry that was hard to pull off at times.
Yeah, as soon as the gradient dodge got introduced, I rage quit for a little
Yep.
bit because that was the fourth one that they unlocked, and I was just like, this isn't going to work with me because all I can foresee is me just inputting the wrong button command for every single dodge or parry mechanic, and it's just going to piss me off. And but again, that was before I dropped the difficulty, so I came back, dropped the difficulty, and everything was so much easier.
Yeah, I ended up dropping down to story mode, but then I ended up making my team too powerful. Um, so there's two endings for this game. So I went back to the point of no return to view the second ending and bumped it back up to normal. And I still had a fine time, but it was more of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because if you can set your party up, and multiple ways, you can break this game quite easily. Each character can be set up to deal the maximum amount of damage by mid Act 2.
Yeah.
And you can have smooth sailing except for one super boss.
Yeah. So, what about music and the sound stuff? Like,
Mm,
I,
friggin' top notch, hey?
oh yeah, I, I noticed that their music levels were a little bit higher than everything else, and I feel like that was a good thing because they wanted you to hear what they did. And I'm glad they did because every single piece of music in this game is so good. And it's all
Yeah,
done in French. It's all orchestral and choir and just a different myriad of different instruments, and it's just I love the music in this game so much.
yep. Yeah, the composer, and I'm going to butcher his name. I'm going to butcher everyone's name who's French in this. I do apologize. Lorien Testard was our composer, and he was accompanied by the Curo Orchestra. They just did such a good job in being able to meet the game where it was at. So, for example, when you're underwater, there's ethereal. You get a real ethereal feel. The places that are haunting are haunting. The places that are beautiful are real evocative. And some of the grandiose battle music that you get was just, yeah, great.
Epic.
Yeah.
Um, what about I really enjoyed something about going to backtrack to the dodge and parry mechanics is that sometimes I had to rely on sound effects because there are some where like you mentioned the build up, like they would flash and there would be an accompaniment sound to it, so I would you know listen to the sound effects and then time my dodges and parries accordingly. And
Yeah, 100%.
I thought that was really intuitive and another layer of, adding to the combat mechanics. And I feel like that really helped out on some of these fights.
Yep, particularly with the ones that like summon projectiles around them and then shoot them at you. Like the one that summons the little ice balls comes to mind for me. It was the whoosh that I knew they were coming in that helped me kind of get the timing down.
Yeah. What about voice acting?
Like I said, I went the English. A bunch of notable voice actors. Charlie Cox for Gustav, Jennifer English for Mael. I didn't know that one of the antagonists was voiced by Andy Serkis.
I didn't know that either. But it's
Um,
not surprising because he's fucking.
the the main male antagonist
Yeah.
was Andy Serkis, which like amazing job. That antagonist does some very good like villain speeches or anti-hero speeches throughout, and I should have known.
I mean, it's hard to know because when you have one character, or not character, but one person who can do the voice of Smeagol and Gollum, like, I mean, they have a wide range of voices that they can do.
Yep, yeah, he's a pretty much a master of mocap and voices.
Oh, yeah.
Um, it says here that because I'm just reading off the cast list, Jennifer English was in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes, she was
Shadowheart?
Shadowheart.
Or
Yeah.
yep, okay, cool. I don't know much about that game. I know you and the others have been talking about in the Discord recently, because Dalton from Steam Machine's been diving into it, I believe. But yeah, did you pick that up
I
with your
didn't.
experience with that game? Yeah.
I didn't, but just through, random searches and stuff and YouTube videos, like, I was just like, oh, that's Jennifer English. She was, the voice actress for Shadowheart. And I was like, that's cool.
Yep.
They had a lot of really good voice actors.
Yeah.
And
I want to call out Maxine Cazzola, who voiced Esqui, who's one of your like comedic party members that isn't actually you don't get to use him in battle. Anyway, he was really cool. He did both the English and French voice acting for Esqui.
yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
that character. And then another character who you pick up later.
Yep.
But
Voiced by Ben Starr. Notable as Clive from Final Fantasy 16.
mhm. I was talking more along the lines of Monoko.
Ah, cool. Yep.
Yeah, I think.
Rich Keeble,
Yeah, I
who
I did not use Minoko, but I feel like he's going to be my favorite character.
great. Yeah, Minoko was hilarious in just some of his deadpan delivery, um, which completely fit the character, but it was in a real comedic sense as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him, although I barely used him as a party member myself as well. I don't think there was any real voice actors that did a not great job per se.
Yeah, I think
Um,
everyone who had a job in this game really knocked it out of the park. Like
the
even
kids
even
at the start, Gustav's little apprentices, they were pretty freaking annoying, but it just might have been their characters that I didn't like.
yes, probably the characters because they were
Yeah.
a little overbearing. But what about do you want to talk about anything else as far as sound design or anything like that?
Do you have a favorite music track?
I do. and it's going to be the track that that we use for the spoiler wall, and it's Lumiere, which
Yep.
the is that yours as well, or I thought
No,
you
no. But talk about
no.
that one. Yeah.
All right. So what was yours
I had For Those Who Come After,
for those who come
which is
after?
some pretty epic boss battle music there. Um, what's the context around Lumiere? What kind of emotion is it trying to draw?
I don't know. There's just something about it that like I randomly picked up the music sheet for it and I played it in camp and I just ran around camp listening to this song and it quickly became my favorite, and it's when I realized that the music in this game was just as important as everything else.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Because the soundtrack is massive, isn't it?
It's
I haven't
two,
had a
it's
full look at it.
154 songs
Okay. Do you know how many hours of music that equates to?
over 8 hours.
Okay, cool. That's good. Um, because some JRPGs we have on the list to play, their battle music is the same track for every battle. Um, so, with I think how you and I appreciate music, we're going to end up turning off the music for the battles. Um, but it was really diverse in the battles for this game. Really
Yeah.
diverse.
And like it's not even about like they had one track that they would do for like each area, but they would change it up in ways to fit the theme of whatever it was you were doing. And every area I feel had a different battle track.
Yes. Yeah, most definitely. I agree with that because I did read some criticism about the music being repetitive, and I'm like, well, no, because they've orchestrated the pieces differently. It's just fitting the same theme. Um, however, it's been reorchestrated, so in some parts it might be more horn heavy or more string heavy, and unless you're really listening, it is going to pass you by.
Yeah. You see, like for Lumiere, there's the main one, and then there's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven different variations of it. You know, there's one for spring. There's variations of Spring Meadows. There's Lune's theme. There's several world maps. There's one for Flying Waters. There's one for a different character. Uh, there's like six or seven for the Gestral Village. There's one for Ciel. There's one for the Fire Camp. There's Stone Wave Cliffs. There's uh, Une Via Tame, which is another very good song. Uh, there's so many. There's one song done seven or eight different ways, and it's very tasteful. And I really enjoyed how they did that.
Yeah, even they were so invested in the music that there were even collectibles for you to be able to change up your camp music, like you said, of how you discovered your favorite track. These were records found throughout the world. I don't know how they got a record player into camp. These guys can spawn weapons using their magic, so sure. There's one point where they get a grand piano in the camp at one point. So sure, I'm going to uh,
I think that was
my
based
disbelief.
during one of the last cutscenes, not the last cutscenes, but during
Yep.
a cutscene in the final act. There's a character that just summons a grand piano. And I
Yeah,
think that has to do with the Lumina system because I feel like that's the magic system in this world. So it's not just, like different abilities that you can do. I think it's like a form of magic because they had the Lumina converter which did something. I don't know.
okay.
But yeah, I think it's a form of magic.
Yep. Did you? This was one collectible. I must not have explored enough because I only found four. No, six records I got at the end. There is 33 total. Very on brand for the title.
Yeah. I think
How
I
many
only
did you
found
find?
like I think I found like maybe 10.
Yep.
So,
Six you get, or four you get through companion quests anyway. So that means I found like two on the overworld.
yeah.
So, and one I bought from a merchant. So yeah, they were either really well hidden or I just didn't go the right places to find them. Because there are a lot of places on the overworld that aren't linked to achievements or story at all, that you just have to randomly wander into, and you probably have to fight a boss and then you get an item, and that's it. That's the whole area.
Yeah, and something I really enjoyed about the overworld is you didn't really know what you were going to get whenever you entered an area from the overworld because uh, I remember being surprised whenever I entered a random area and it was just like a small, I'm going to call it room because that's basically what it was. And it was just a small area. You went and picked something up and then you left. There was nothing else to it.
Yeah, I didn't do too many of them. I kind of stuck to the main path, and I hate to think what some people's playtime would be. If we did have more than the 2 weeks to get the game done, um, I probably would have explored a bit more. But time crunch also helps you finish games.
Yeah, I could agree on that.
Uh, yeah. What did you think about the visuals? Unreal 5. I thought this was some kind of new technology because this looked better than a lot of games I've seen in Unreal 5.
It I kind of felt the same way. I I feel like the graphics were really well done and they were really polished out. I did have an issue with the characters' hands because sometimes like their hands just looked gnarled and clenched and the way the fingers moved was weird, but that's just a
Mm.
personal thing that I noticed. Um, I feel like the art direction that they took for this game was really on the nose thematically for the game as a whole. It was it's all about the paintress, and there are swirling colors and vivid uh, differences, and the title itself, Clair Obscur, is French for light dark, which is just contrasted colors.
Yep.
Um, I I feel like it was really well done.
Yeah. It initially it kind of brought me back to, I don't know if you've seen the anime or read the manga, Hell's Paradise, um, which is a similar in story where a bunch of people go to an island full of fucked up things. Um, because some of these enemies were friggin' nightmare fuel, man.
Yeah,
Absolute fucking nightmare fuel.
I did watch Hell's Paradise, and it was really good. I think I gave it like a 7 or an 8. But yeah,
Yep.
I can agree with you on that, definitely.
I saw a lot of similarities, particularly in the enemy design of just being thematic to their area, but also just being like really fucked up. And it makes sense for where the story goes in what these monsters are and represent, and how how they came to be, and just the smoothness of the story as well, and the visual transition. Because sometimes when you go in and out of a cutscene, it does that awesome camera angle where like it shows the character still in a cutscene, paused and not moving. Like you can't move the character, so they're technically still in the cutscene, and then the camera like zooms in to almost a second person view, and then you regain control and you get if you're in widescreen, the screen widens again. Very smooth transition there. And also the contrast on the overworld of seeing your characters, I don't even know the term to describe it, but how your characters are really in the foreground and the background is really in the background. Yeah, that's the best.
The
I'm
focus.
describing it poorly. Yeah,
Yeah,
the focus
because
on the overworld.
yeah, because I did notice that your characters are sharp, and the background is kind of fuzzy.
Yep. And
But
just like light particles in all the different areas were just amazing. But like you said, it really fits in with the theme of the paintress, and like there was talk about ink, and the world just feels like it could have been made in a drawing, in a way.
yeah, yeah, I agree with you on all of those points. Um, I did like how there was Luna had a tagline every time she went into combat, and it was kind of paint-esque related, um, and I really enjoyed that.
Yep, yeah, because she's like your mage, for want of a better term. Um, that was crazy as well. The different visuals depending who you have as your character, um, on the in the like world setting as you're traversing the world, because you can change between each party character. I think all characters actually. It can be any character in your primary party or your side party,
Yeah.
um, throughout, and it shows them running along. And Lune was really funny because she was barefoot, but she'd float and levitate. She wouldn't run, because she was the one that was like in touch with nature and the lumina particles and all that sort of stuff, because she's your mage, so she's real like hippie almost. And yeah, she didn't wear shoes, and she floated.
Uh, Speaking of, who did you use for your main traversal character?
Mael.
Okay. Mine changed a lot. It was mostly Gustav or Luna, and I used Luna because like she was floating, and I just thought that was really cool.
Yep.
Uh, Speaking of the characters, did you find that any of them were well written, or did any of them fall flat?
Mm, no, I enjoyed every character, particularly their relationship quests. That is normally where you'll see the bad side or the not well written side of characters.
Oh yeah,
Um,
some of these characters had some fucked up backstories.
yeah, I didn't like the fact that you could sleep with them. It was kind of just chucked in randomly. um, when you got to level 5 of 7, and I ended up sleeping with both Lune and CL because I felt like it would not progress their relationship level if I rebuked them. Did you? When you got to that point?
Uh, I did not sleep with CL. I
Okay.
instead opted for Lune because you have to progress her story as a relationship instead of a friendship with her in order to get her endgame weapon.
Okay.
And the
Damn
the
it.
guide I
See,
read, oh no, I was just gonna say the guide I read said you have to pick. It's either or. So you getting both kind of surprises me. So good on
yeah,
you, mate.
yeah, it allowed me. Well, obviously it didn't show sex scenes or anything like that, but it like alluded to it.
Oh
I
yeah,
just felt
heavily
like it
hinted.
didn't need to be there. Didn't need to be
No,
there at all.
no, and I mean, I kind of get it, but I agree. It didn't need to be there.
Well, considering CL's attachment to her family, um, I don't think she would have, even in a no strings attached sense, which is where it comes from. I don't think she would have done it.
Yeah, but at the
Had she
same
not been.
time, it's, apocalyptic, end of the world. You're not really expecting to live.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said, I get it, but, it was just, I feel like, I feel like those scenes, while they weren't, graphic, like you said, it happened off camera, and then the text heavily alluded to, some fun time, but like it didn't need to be there. It really didn't. I just no.
and it never went anywhere. Like even if you do pursue a relationship with Lune, it's not followed up in the ending at all.
No.
But yeah, oh well, it's just one of those things, I guess, that they feel maybe the developers felt they needed to put it in there because romance seems to be a part of every JRPG these days.
Yeah,
Um,
and I feel like that's basically what they were going for. Was just, oh well, this is an RPG, so we have to have some form of romance.
yep, get the weebs and the gooners to buy our game. That's off the cuff commentary about Stellar Blade at the moment, which yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Um,
Yeah.
Funny lines though, there were a lot. Um, SKA's impersonation of Lightning McQueen, I am Speed, was freaking hilarious.
Yeah. Pretty much
SKA in
anything
general
that.
is hilarious.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say that. Like anything that came out of his mouth was just comedic gold. Uh, the one quote that really hit me hard was and this isn't it. It's paraphrased because I forgot exactly what it says. But there's a character who's talking about I think it's Mael's parents or something, and he says they're dead. Those aren't their voices; they're yours. And that just hit me really hard, and I was like, man, I need to do that. So, and then they had so many good one-liners, like for the expeditions, plural, I guess, throughout the years, they when one falls, we continue. And then there was one where the final boss says he goes, what was it? Life continues to force cruel choices. That one hit pretty hard. Um,
Yeah, really good antagonist lines in this game.
oh
Um,
yeah. One that kept coming up was Tomorrow Comes.
Yep.
And then for those who come after, uh, there it is. Life keeps forcing cruel choices. And then I'm gonna hop back to SK real quick. Is you have to go do a really small quest real quick, and he's like, "Oh, you have to go find one of my rocks," and one of the characters is like, "Oh, and that's gonna be in some Nevron infested area, right?" And he's like, "Oh no, he's right next door."
Yeah. Yeah, which was a weird boss. That was a weird boss
Oh yeah.
fighting SK's turtle neighbor.
Um, yeah, there was a lot of quotable quotes in this game, and some of and the breakup between the comedy and the serious undertones was, I feel, really well done.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried there for a sec because particularly the Nevron village section of the game can take quite a while, like a good hour and a half or so. And I was worried. I was like, is this turning into a comedy? Because it was very, very slapstick, and even the characters were making real light of a lot of situations. And I'm like, well, if I was trapped on an island where everything wanted to kill me, I don't think I'd be cracking jokes as much as these guys are. I was actually starting to get really worried about the direction. But then it went back to being a nice, sad affair once again.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, I feel like everything flowed really well. I feel like the story just kept moving, no matter how long it took you to um, traverse an area. Like it was one right after the other, but the flow between the plot beats just it was really well done, and it was really well written. And I feel like the the world was really immersive, and I felt I did get attached to some of these characters because of how immersive this world was. I throughout all of my raging during the beginning of this game, like the one thing that kept me going was I had to know what was going on with the story. Like I was that immersed in it, and I needed to figure out what was going on because uh, it was compelling. It was very compelling.
Yeah, I was very much the same. I guess the bit that I can say about the ending that isn't a spoiler is there's choices at the end. And the way that I had interacted with the characters and the relationship that I built up with these characters made either choice a hard decision for me at the end.
Oh yeah, 100% agree. Like you only have two choices, and they're both excellent choices, and they both give different viewpoints of how things could end. And without spoiling it, they're both bad choices.
Yeah, and I think that kind of fits in with French storytelling because I haven't had a lot of exposure to it, but from what I can glean from reading a few things, is that it's quite nihilistic, and the French people themselves have had a lot of struggles, particularly with class systems and the like. Like we look at the French Revolution and stuff like that, the Napoleonic Wars. The French people haven't had a good run in their history, and that's very evident in their storytelling today. Like even if we look at like a French cartoon that comes to mind is Ladybug and Cat Noir, um, the adventures of that. Even that, while it's a kids' cartoon and very bright and colourful and positive and superhero-y on the outset, it runs into some real nihilistic themes, and like they go through some fucking rough times for cartoon characters in that show. So I think it's a French storytelling strength, that the ending isn't going to be positive majority of the time.
Yeah. I I'm going to defer on your judgment with that because you are the history person, not me.
Yeah, French history is a bit modern for my tastes. But yeah, like I said, I did a little bit of reading, and the themes are definitely concurrent with the French way of life and the stuff that the French people have been through.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to say on accessibility or quality of life?
Uh, you
Was there
mentioned
accessibility options?
there was a couple colorblind stuff. There was, you could remap your keybinds or whatever on your controller.
Okay.
Um, I feel like the save system was a little frustrating in the sense that the notification pop up it was a little small and it was down in the lower left corner, and I feel like it could have been placed somewhere else. That way, you could see it more readily. Um,
Yep. In Act 3, we get very cutscene heavy. I did have some interruptions, which I felt I needed to turn the game off because I didn't work out that X on the Xbox controller was pause or A was pause instead of start. Because I thought A would skip the cutscene because I've also done that to myself before as well.
yeah,
So that could have been more clearly telegraphed.
I stumbled upon that because there was a couple times where I had to like get up to do something, so I just started pushing random buttons, and
Yeah,
then A, yeah. So
I forget what game I did in. Might have been the most recent Dragon Age, where it wasn't hold A to skip a cutscene. It was just press and you'll skip it, and I skipped a cutscene, and I didn't want to do that for this game, so I actually had to go back before a double boss fight, because it went double boss fight then cutscene at the end of Act 2.
yeah.
Um, so I had to go all the way back there and refight the bosses, which was annoying because it was a hard boss.
But having said that, having the option to pause cutscenes and then continue them or skip them had you already seen them, that was a really nice touch.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
What about replayability? Do you feel like you could play this game again in the future on like a new game plus or something?
Yeah, I think the majority of the super bosses, without looking up a guide for broken builds, would require a second playthrough. Because I had to grind a lot. I only got 2 characters to 99, um, or the max level. Was it 99?
I'm
Yes, it
pretty
was.
sure it was 99. So you did end
Yeah,
up getting that achievement. I did not. I
yeah,
think my max level character was 70s. So,
yeah, and I would say that's pretty consistent with a lot of people's first playthroughs. Like I had to do a lot of extra grinding to get even the one character up to 99, just to get that achievement. So I do feel there's a lot of replayability, and I do feel they're very much in the Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest kind of sense that these super bosses, in particular one, isn't beatable unless you have at least one character at 99. Although level isn't really dependent on your strength, I feel.
I mean,
It's more your weapon and your Pictos.
it kind of is because with each level, I found that like even though I hadn't changed anything, like my characters were getting stronger with their stats. So, I mean, like, it probably doesn't do much
Yeah,
because I feel like they do lean heavily more into the Picto usage and the Lumina usage and what weapon you have and how leveled up the weapon was. But I feel like you did, you know, need levels for that extra little stat boost, which was nice because it wasn't just, oh, well, get to level 99 and you're invincible like most RPGs are.
yeah.
Uh,
I had a character who had a max speed stat, and even then I was getting outsped. Um,
That was me with
so
that
yeah,
fucking Sky Dragon.
it's definitely. I don't think the stats themselves, your base character stats, were the be all and end all.
No.
Because really, you could put any stats into any character. No characters were specifically built for, say, might or speed, as opposed to other characters. Because you had enough stat points there to play with that you could mix and match characters any way you wanted.
Yeah, and that was really cool. And gonna jump back to, like gameplay mechanics and combat mechanics, and I really enjoyed how there is no gear in this game. It's all just weapons and stats. And the weapons that you collect, they give you different things. This is a very much if X then Y type of combat, which means you have to really pay attention to what weapons you use and the pictos and the abilities that you choose, because like for instance for Luna, they're to use her magic, like it's, if you use a fire spell, it consumes, you know, a stain, which is something that it's like a builder spender kind of thing. You use an element, it pops up on her weapon, and red, yellow, green, white, blue. Um, so like if you use a fire element, uh, you know, if the the ability that you use might do more damage if it absorbs a different element on her weapon. Or like for Mael, there's she has different stances, and depending on the ability you use puts her in a different stance to whether she's more defensive or offensive or just completely broken with 200% damage increase. It's
Yep.
it is a very heavily if X then Y combat system, and I do not get on with that very well because my brain is not big enough to, think of things, to build like that. And I need a build guide in order to, do anything with it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be hacking away at titans with glass hammers.
Yep. And that's, yeah, we didn't even mention that back in characters. Each character has their own unique kind of build set and abilities. Uh,
Yeah.
so, for example, Mael has her three different stances: attacking, defensive, and virtuoso. Lune has her stains. Gustav had his breaker ability that charges up.
Yeah.
CL, I don't even know. Hers was
Shh.
complicated, so I kept her in my back party.
Yeah. And then you had Monoko, who was essentially Blue Mage.
Yeah, he had really cool abilities, being able to take on the forms of other monsters.
Yeah. And I feel like he had, like going through his character sheet, I feel like he had the most abilities to unlock. But it wasn't
Yep.
about, spending points to unlock. The reason he was a blue mage is because he could turn into these monsters to deal a damage or heal or buff or, debuff. Um, but the way that he got these abilities was you had to use him in combat and defeat an enemy in order to get it. And the way that they did that was actually really intuitive because they had a little marker or an icon on the enemy's health bar to let you know that, like, hey, Minoka will get something from this combat. So I'm actually really looking forward to doing another playthrough because I want to use CL and Minoko in my party, because I feel
Yep.
like their combat systems were more complicated, but I've had enough of the mage and Mael and the main character. So I feel
Yeah,
like
my party was definitely the generic tank DPS magic.
yeah. And that's something else I really enjoyed about this, is that even though I didn't do it, is that Gustav, the main character, you don't have to use him.
Yep.
You have 5 different characters. You could use any of them, and I really thought that was really cool.
Two quick quality of life things I want to bring up
Yeah.
that fit into gameplay before we move on to recommendations and the spoiler.
Okay.
Um, is that one, each character had a tutorial when you acquired them in your party to teach you their specific move sets, but you could also skip this tutorial, which I
Yes.
think falls into replayability as well. Because for the characters that we use primarily for our second playthroughs, we can skip their tutorials, which is great. And the second thing, which has just gone out of my mind. Oh yeah, you had a reserve party if your primary party died. So you do actually utilize all 5 characters in every battle. If your primary 3 characters die, then your reserve party comes in.
And depending on if you build them up or not, it's worth it.
Yeah,
My
I did
reserve
not the
party,
first time they had to come in.
yeah, my reserve party actually came in clutch for one of the final boss fights. So, yeah.
Nice. The first time I had to use them, they were not leveled up or spec'd at all. So I got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, I have a thing that I do is that if I have the ability to level up characters that I don't plan on using, I do it anyway just in case, and it really helped. But you know, I I'm gonna shift real quick because did you notice that this seemed to be like a conglomeration of different mechanics from different games?
Yeah, 100%. I've heard a lot of comparisons to games that I haven't played, that after playing this game makes me want to go out and play them. Obviously, your strong recommendation for Legend of Dragoon means we're going to play that at some point. Also heard a comparison to the Shadow Hearts games, which I haven't. Shadow Hearts, I think that's it. Shadow something. There's 4 of them or 5. Heard a comparison to that, which makes me really want to play them. There's my comparison to Mario and Luigi Superstars series, which I want to play more of them. Um, but yeah, it really does pull basically everything good from the multitude of RPGs and JRPGs out there into one.
Yeah, and I think it was done really well. I mean, I've said that a lot about this game, but it's just I don't have any other words for it. Everything about this game was done really well. So, is it fun? Is it not fun?
Do you want to do yours first or me do mine? Oh,
I mean, for having such a rough start, I'm definitely going to give it a fun.
sorry, just had another plane come over.
Oh.
Um, yeah, fun times. Yeah, I'm also going to give this a fun. At the moment, out of the games I've played for 2025, which haven't been a lot of games released this year, I'm not very current when it comes to the zeitgeist of stuff. It's mainly because of Game Pass that I have played games released this year. This is going to be my game of the year so far, out
I
of the games I've played for 2025.
I hard agree. I feel like this game is going to be a major contender in general for Game of the Year this year. Just because, I mean, here we are a couple months or something after it's been released, and I still haven't heard anything bad about it. It's still getting good reviews. I still see every things on YouTube about it, but that's an algorithm thing. And I mean, I think that if you like a fantasy game with a bunch of twists and turns and tragic character arcs and you know just great storytelling with great characters and eventually, in my opinion, fun combat. I feel like you should play this. I really do. I mean,
Yeah,
and
I would. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, and the way that this game company did it, I've already forgotten who developed this game.
Sandfall Interactive.
Yes, they did a really good thing. They proved, like Larian did with Baldur's Gate 3, that like you can make a AAA game not at AAA cost, because the base game is what, $40, and if you want like the extra stuff, it's like 60.
Yeah, that's fun American prices.
Yeah,
At the moment, it's 65 over here in Australia, but that's pretty generic for a new release game. Anything under 70 or 80 is pretty good value.
yeah, and I feel like it's worth it. So
Yeah, 100%. I would recommend this game to anyone that loves RPGs, JRPGs, good storytelling, good battle systems, and like Souls likes, because it
yeah,
does give you that challenge in the parrying and stuff, particularly in the late game. I did feel that I had to be super methodical, and I really got angry at myself when I stuffed up a parry, which is good gameplay in itself, because when you get angry at yourself for mucking up, not the game, that means the mechanics done well. So an overall fun from me also.
all right. And with that, I think we're gonna hit our music break and our spoiler wall. And the track we're
Yeah,
gonna
so
play.
I was just going to say I'll do some housekeeping first, for
Okay.
those that aren't joining us after the spoiler. Um, so thank you for those that aren't coming through the spoiler track with us. Come and find us. Our main platform that we run off is Discord. We're part of the Steam Machine Podcast Network. So head on over to bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all caps. If you want to submit any questions, game recommendations, or anything else of the like, we are on Blue Sky, Instagram, X, unfortunately, and both Fenris and I have accounts on Infinite Backlog, so you can reach out to us there. All those links will be in the show notes. Our next game, we did do a wheel spin for this one. Came up with another one of Fenris's recommendations. Our latest wheel spin came up with Chrono Cross. So we're rounding out the Chrono series with that one pretty early in the piece. So that'll be our next game that we're playing over the next 2 weeks.
I'm very excited because this is one of my top 3 favorite games.
I have started it already. I did jump ahead a little bit. And a slight spoiler, I am enjoying it, but one character is I hate one party member already. But there's 30-something recruitable party members potentially, so
Add 10 to that.
Pretty early. Oh, 42. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Cool. I'll be getting rid of them first chance I get.
And that's fine. That's the beauty of having a wide plethora of choices like that.
Yeah, 100%. So thank you again for those that have listened thus far, and those that want to join us on our journey through spoilers. Quick music break, and then we'll be jumping into the main story of Expedition 33.
Yep.
Dim, dam, dadilam, vacarme s'en va dans l'oubli éternel. Et Gustave, dom guardiam, dilim, didididilam, lutes sera dodilam, seram. Dim, dim, da da da, dim, dim, da da da, dim, da di dam. Dim, dim, da da da, dim, dim, da da da, dim, da di dam. Dans là-haut sera chasseur noir griffera. Clair obscur, trouble de rature, trouvera effet. Clair obscur, bordé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Clair obscur, trouble de rature, trouvera effet. Clair obscur, bordé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Clair obscur, trouble rature. Clair obscur, guardé aux peintures. Clair obscur, trouble de rature, couvrera effet. Clair obscur, guardé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Clair obscur, trouble de rature, trouvera effet. Clair obscur, guardé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Obscur, guardé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Clair obscur, trouble de rature, courbera effet. Clair obscur, guardé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle.
And welcome back on the other side of our music break to the spoiler section for Expedition 33. Alright, so where do you want to start, Fenris? Because there's a lot.
Oh, Jesus.
There's a lot here.
Act 1.
Alright.
So at the very end of Act 1, your main character, your party, they meet Renoir, who is the big bad evil guy of the game, supposedly. He's built up to be, and he kills the main character. So you find out at the very end of Act 1 that the main character may not actually be the main character. And that just fucked with my mind.
It was so well done, and it was part of the reason why I'm super glad I kept myself spoiler free. Because I had no idea that Gustav was going to die. I made him my primary. He was the one that I concentrated on leveling up properly. He's the one who I got the special weapon from the arena for, which was probably a bad choice looking back on it, considering the options for Mael later on. But yeah, I basically invested everything into Gustav being the main character. I thought he was going to carry us home. The team did a very good job keeping it under wraps by keeping Verso off the front cover. But yeah, totally unexpected for me, and had the emotional impact that I think the developers probably wanted in this case.
100% agree with you on that. And then the shift from Gustav to Verso was really well done. Their fighting styles and their battle mechanics were very similar, but also very different. And the weapons that you had concurrently picked up for Gustav transferred over to Verso with minor differences, being that Gustav had a sword and a pistol, and Verso ended up having a sword and a dagger. So,
Yep.
it's not like, oh, well, what am I going to do with all these weapons that I picked up for this now dead character? They just flawlessly transitioned into the new character. So that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, I'm really glad they didn't pull a Final Fantasy VII, and spoiler for that, when Aerith dies, and you've just lost everything that you've equipped on her, and leveling her up was pointless almost. I'm really glad they had a character step in
Yeah,
that sense, so all the effort wasn't wasted.
yeah. I can agree with you on that. Any other plot twists or anything like that? Because everything is leaving my mind.
Okay, so after you lose Gustav and Verso joins the party, he's very cagey throughout, because he originally states that yes, he and Renoir were both part of Expedition 00, the first expedition to come to the island and attempt to murder the Patriots, because they were part of the break. So they actually experienced normal life on Lumiere prior to the Patriots coming alive, and the crack happening that fractured the world.
And that's actually a really good point, because I completely forgot about that whole thing. Whenever Expedition 33 first steps off the boat, like, they're looking around and they're taking in the scenery, and then all of a sudden here comes a shady character, and the first thing they notice about him is that he's got white hair, which indicates that he is old, which shouldn't be a thing, because from what they know, there is no one above the age of 32. So to have this random ass old guy come up to them, like, it shocked them, and they were stunned, and then he fucking murdered everybody.
Yeah, so I think, I forget what the original total number was for Expedition 33, but it wouldn't surprise me if there were 33 members in it. That seems to be a running thing.
Yeah.
However, most of them get murdered except for Mael, CL, Lune, and Gustav. And keeping in mind as well that there's been, 67 expeditions before them as well. So every year for the last 67 years, all these people have failed. So Verso tells you at camp that he is part of Expedition 00. Renoir was the commander of that expedition, and he and Renoir are the only surviving members of Expedition 00. They gained immortality somehow, and at this point Verso is just aging, and they kept their original ages when they landed on the expedition. They haven't aged in the last 66 years.
I really like how they touched on his immortality, because there was something. Was it after Gustav died? I don't remember, but Verso ends up cutting himself in half just to make everybody feel better, and to kind of prove a point that yes, he's immortal and can't die.
Yep. Why the fuck did I get party wiped then, Verso?
Right?
Why?
Right?
I think because there's a couple of games that do play with immortality, and I think they make up some contrivance. Because even talking with Minoko, Verso, who is Verso's oldest friend, along with SKA. Minoko's a baboon as well. Sorry, we didn't talk about that in the non-spoiler section. He's a baboon who gains his ability to transform into Necrons by cutting off their feet and using his magic to turn into them from that. There's been many times that if you have just the normal chats with Minoko, he talks about times when Gustav's died in a number of hilarious ways.
Yeah.
Oh, not Gustav. Verso's died in a number of hilarious ways. So Verso joins the party on their quest to kill the Paintress. They go through a number of areas. They get to the Paintress, and she has a massive shield around her, so they can't get to her. And through this time, there's a number of times when Mael appears to be targeted at camp by Renoir and this mysterious girl who ends up being called Alicia. They're very interested in Mael for some reason. Renoir, they're able to stop time in a weird way that I never really understood.
I feel like that
Mael and Verso are unaffected.
Yeah, I'd feel like that just kind of ties into the major twist at the end.
Yeah. But they seem very focused on Mael. They seem to blame Verso for her being there. They say she's going to ruin everything. And the mysterious woman ends up being Alicia, who is Verso's sister. She's got a disfigured face and she can't talk, and she seems very antagonistic towards Mael.
Yeah. It was...
So to break through...
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, it was at this point about midway through Act 2 where I started piecing together what was actually going on as far as Mael with Verso and Alicia, because they did a really good job in keeping it under wraps, but the way that it was handled, it made sense to me. So I started guesstimating on what was actually going on, and I wasn't too far off.
Yeah, I kind of had an inkling, because there's actually a spot at the rear of Minoko Station, in that back ice area, where you can talk to some Gestrels, I believe, and you need to fix their Ferris wheel that's frozen over.
Yeah.
And you reward for that is a hairstyle for Mael, which is similar to another character. Or he talks about this other girl visiting, and it's a hairstyle for Mael that has a pretty big spoiler implication because it makes her look like another character later on down the track. So to break the Paintress's barrier, her heart, because the only way to kill the Paintress is to spear her heart, Verso says, because he's come very close over the last 66 years, but something's always gotten in the way. They need to kill two what are called axons, which are guardians of the Paintress's barrier heart, so they can craft a weapon at the camp from this mysterious stranger, this mysterious Necron, who has allied himself with them, and seems to have a real close attachment to Mael as well. So you go fight the Axons, which I was thinking would have bigger implications for Lune and CL, because each Axon is kind of attuned to their personalities, I found, because with the face one, CL was able to resist the magic, because I think she wears her heart on her sleeve, where everyone else was kind of incapacitated. She was able to see through the guys, and kind of push forward.
That's something that I really liked about that, because it seemed like with each of the Axon fights, like each character had like a shining moment, because when you fought the Axon of many faces or whatever, CL, her persona is just kind of cool and collected, and like she just kind of goes with the flow, and she doesn't get angry or upset. She just accepts things for how they are.
Yep. And ultimately, she's the one that saves the team from that Axon. And then the second Axon, which has more of a connection to Lune. Do you remember much about this one? I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Yeah.
Um,
So that one was called Sirene, which I guess is an on the nose French word for siren. It was dancing and it was singing, and it caught the party in a hallucination, and um, it was very Lune centered, because I don't remember why, but the basis, I'm losing my words, but basically just I'm losing it. But anyway, whenever you fight it and you beat it, for whatever reason, at the end, Luna doesn't succumb to the hallucination, and she manages to beat it with, I think it was a gradient kind of attack, and saves the party that way. It wasn't really, or maybe it was explained and I just don't remember, but I think
yeah.
it might have had something to do with her parents, because you can go back there to get her in-game weapon.
Yeah, so now you saying that just helped me remember. Um, it is linked back to her family because Lune's parents were both expeditioners as well. And that was the place where their expedition was kind of killed. So to have that extra connection with her parents, you go back there in her personal quest. I think it was more to do with her thirst for knowledge and being able to resist the temptation there.
Yeah. And taking a slight step back, the first shocking twist before fighting the Axons is Renoir visits them at the camp, and reveals that, or no. I forget. They're at one of the Axon places, I think, and they hold on. It's coming back to me. They enter Old Lumiere, and the party gets split. So you go through, as each of the parties, and one is Minoko, Luna, and CL, and the other party is Mael and Verso, and
Yep.
Verso is still being cagey and kind of protective, and stealing secret glances at Mael. It's really heavily undertoned that he has a personal interest in this girl, and eventually, while exploring Old Lumiere, the party with Minoko, Luna, and CL, they find an old expeditioner journal of, I think it was 00, and they find out that Renoir is Verso's father, and so they freak out, and
that's right.
And they go and they're like, oh well, Verso's with her. Like, we have to go protect our baby girl because she is the youngest, and and then after the they come across the mansion, which I never really understood. I'm assuming it's the mansion that Renoir and Verso live in,
Yep.
or like their home. Verso and Mael come across it, and there they meet up with Renoir at the entrance, and there it is said that Renoir is Verso's father, and then Luna's party, come up and they have that fight where I assume is where your favorite piece of music is from.
No, that was back in the Gustav fight, but I believe it's a recomposition
Okay,
of it.
all right.
Yep.
So yeah, so they do battle with Renoir, and then Luna proposes forging a weapon from Axon hearts, and then they go to the Axons, and then after they do the Axon fights, they they go to the Monolith, and they, you know, have another fight with Renoir, and they kill him,
Yep.
and then another twist at the end of Act Two is they come across the Paintress, who is actually Verso's mother, Aline, and then they kill her. The big bad evil guy that the expedition is supposed to be doing. That is their end game, is killing the Paintress, and they did that at the end of Act Two, and there's a whole other act that they have to go through. So
Yep. Because after you kill the Paintress, you're thrown into the real world. So you find out that all this time you've actually been inside a painting conducted by Verso. But it's not the Verso that we've been playing as, because that Verso died a couple of years ago. He was pretty similar to the age that he's portraying.
yeah,
Because you're set in 1960s France, I believe it is, because you can see the Eiffel Tower out the window in the real world. So you've been inside a painting this entire time. And you find out that Maëlle is actually the personification of Alicia.
but
So at this point,
no, I was just gonna say I don't think she's a personification. I think she's like a reincarnation, because whenever you're, I don't know how to explain it, because when you're running around the real world as Alicia, it's after the fire and all that, and then you're talking with her older sister Clea about how the family is breaking apart because they're for some backstory, they're painters, and they can create magical worlds in these canvases. And because they're painters, they can go into these paintings and live like a pseudo life. And their mom and their dad are currently duking it out, and I'm assuming is Verso's painting.
Yep. Yeah. It's
Yeah, so Clea and Alicia, they hatch a plan to kind of break up the fight and expel them from the painting. So Alicia goes into Verso's painting, and she gets born into the personification of Maëlle. So yeah,
Yep. So that's where all her real world memories come back to her, that she is Alicia. And the versions of Verso, Renoir, Alicia are all just creations from Mum, not real people. And that means that the whole world that Maëlle's been living for the last 16 years also hasn't been real, in that sense, although she's experienced it. And this is where it starts getting really muddy with what's real and what's not, and what is confined as real, because Maëlle is like, your goal is to still, so you've thrown Mum out of the painting, because she was in there to deal with a grief response to the real Verso's death, who died in a fire and disfigured
Alicia.
Yep. And so Alicia went back into the painting, because as Maëlle, she gets to live a real life in the real world. She can't speak. she's horribly disfigured, and she kind of blames herself for Verso's death, because, again, backstory, and this is where I kind of like to see a prequel game, to be honest.
Right?
There's like this war between writers and painters who have magical powers. I'm assuming the writers have the magical power to make words reality, or create books of a similar nature to the paintings. The writers tricked Alicia, and the real life Verso rushed off to save her, and in doing so died in a fire in the mansion, which was a trap that the writers set to kill Alicia. So she has a lot of shame and grief around that. She blames herself for Verso's death. So she goes back into the painting to kind of not feel that grief and to be close to at least a Verso. Because a tiny bit of Verso's soul, the real Verso's soul, still exists in the painting. Yeah. And Renoir goes in the painting to basically pull out his family.
Yeah,
and it's revealed.
No, I was just gonna say, like, his entire plan is, he's eliminating aged copies in the canvas to push Aline back to reality and in the loop, basically, because his whole deal is, I'm sitting here watching my family, and they're just a bunch of corpses because they're living their entire lives inside of this canvas, and like, I want my family back. So then...
Yeah, so it was my understanding that their bodies are still in the real world.
Yes.
Just time moves slower, obviously, because they're not eating or anything like that. So, yeah, he's literally seeing them waste away in the real world while they're in this fantasy.
And to the point, he called them corpses.
So it's revealed that Renoir was the... I've forgotten his name. The fella in the camp that you've been able to upgrade your weapons for the whole time. He's basically been supporting the expedition from the shadows.
Or the caretaker?
Something like that. He's been supporting the expedition from the shadows to help pull everyone out of the canvas. Because basically, if the paintress is destroyed, then the canvas world will be as well.
Yeah. And
So then...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say,
I was just gonna...
So I was just gonna to go into the final choice, because you have Renoir's plan as the father, the head of household. He wants to get his family back together, and then you have Alicia as Maëlle, who doesn't want what he wants, because if Renoir destroys the canvas, that destroys the painted version of Urso, and she loses her brother all over again. So they have an argument at the end, and Renoir kind of recedes, and because she kind of talks him into it about how, like, oh well, I know what I'm doing, I'm not mom, like, I'm young, and I can handle this, and I don't have a life outside of here, so like, and I don't want to destroy this last piece of my brother's soul, like, it would just kill me. I've lost me as Maëlle, I've already lost too much. And Renoir concedes and is like, okay, well, that's fine, I'll let you have the canvas, and I'll leave a light on, is what he says, kind of telling her that you can have what you want, come back when you're ready.
Yep. Yeah. So the final boss fight, final, because you fight him before that. You fight one other version of Renoir, where Maëlle, as her awakening as a paintress, in a sense, is able to revive all the previous expedition members, and there's a pretty epic kind of like revolutionary war scene as you fight your way through Old Lumiere to get to Renoir. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part. And I thought it was going to be like a bunch of like, because you know how sometimes you have the final push and game stuff like this, where it's like the game devs just throw enemies at you just to kind of like have that last experience push to kind of level up a little bit more. I thought it was going to be like that, but it really wasn't. There were enemies that you could fight, but for the most part, the pseudo revived expeditioners just kind of take care of a lot of the enemies for you.
Yep. Yeah, so the last boss fight can go one of two ways depending on your choice. So you either play as Mael. Oh, sorry, after Renoir is finally done, Mael and Verso are transported to, I guess, the core of the painting, where that little shred of the real Verso's soul still is, and is still painting and still keeping the canvas going. And Verso is like... Verso, the character you control throughout the game, Verso, is like, no, we need to destroy the canvas. Let him rest in peace. Let me rest
because
in peace. I'm done.
He finally understands Renoir's intentions after taking a look around and, you know, weighing the pros and cons of, you know, what everybody is doing. He finally understands, and he goes from wanting to protect everyone to wanting to destroy the canvas. And I feel like that was a very emotionally charged moment, because if you choose to fight Verso as Alicia, you know, in his death, you know, he's like, I don't want this. I don't want this. Like, please help me. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. And this is the path I chose, was because I was, you know, fighting as Mael throughout this entire game. So, like, I had connections with her worldview, and if you choose Alicia's path, she rebuilds the entire world, and she stays through grief. And the canvas world continues, but eventually it deteriorates, and you come across, or you don't come across, but she basically repaints Verso, and he knows it, and they play out a scene where, you know, he's doing a piano concert, and you can tell by his facial features that, like, he's pissed. He doesn't want to do this. And then
he's very, very much a prisoner in his own
world. And then, you know, it cuts back to Mael real quick, and, you know, she's got the painted eyes that kind of show that, you know, she's losing herself in her grief, living in this painted world.
Yep.
So
yeah, that is the first ending I did as well, because I thought you would choose the other ending and I wanted some variety, but I chose it for very much the same reasons as you. I had gone through with Mael all this time, and even though, like, her words were very reminiscent of, like, what an addict would say to their family members that are trying to help them, no, I can do this, I can control it, and so that's the ending I also chose. Something to note is that her powers grow exponentially with her being in control of the canvas, because she brings everyone back. Gustav is there with his girlfriend and sister, and all the people that have been gromaged are back. But you can when Verso steps up to the piano, he can't play because he's very much a prisoner in his own body at that point.
Yeah, and you can tell that he knows what's up. And I knew that I had made the wrong choice in my initial playthrough, because I watched a video on the other path, but, like, when Verso and but before the final fight, before when Verso and Mael are having a discussion about what to do after Verso has changed his viewpoints and actually wants to destroy the painting by destroying the last piece of the real him's soul by telling him not to paint anymore. Um, she automatically flips and she's like, "Don't worry about it," and she's really cold, and it's just like she has this malicious air about her, and that's when I knew that she
Yeah, she draws her weapon and slashes it between Verso adult and Verso paint, like Verso soul, to physically stop him from going up to him, because he wants to go and communicate and say, look, it's time, and wants to give him peace. But yeah, she draws her weapon and slashes it to stop him in a very aggressive manner. And that's when I'm like, oh, Miles boarded the crazy train.
yeah. And then it's just, and then the other tragic path that you can take is destroy the painting and everything, and it's a little bit of a happier ending, but it's still just as tragic because Verso destroys the canvas, he frees his real family, but Alicia and her mother and father have to deal with the grief that they have been hiding in the canvas with. And then the last shot that you see is of them at Rio Verso's grave, and then Alicia looks up and she sees everybody. She sees Gustav and Luna and Esquier and Monoko, and then they all just wave at her as they do one last gamage and fade away into a puff of flower petals.
Yep. Yeah. The better ending, in my opinion, but also quite sad. Because at first I was actually quite angry when it was revealed that it took place in the real world, because there's a couple of other games that have been released recently. Saying the names would spoil those games for listeners that haven't played them. But very much the same thing. Oh, it was all a dream. Oh, this isn't happening in the real world. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why did they have to go in the real world? I just wanted a nice, super creepy island where they do JRPG and kill the god and live on with their happy lives. But I can really appreciate the storytelling aspect from it now, having gone through Act 3 and seeing the wider story.
Yeah, and I was not expecting everything to be fake. That was a huge twist for me. And then tying in grief and sadness and acceptance, and it really tied everything all together. And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed how everything was, a mature sense of emotional weight, around, confronting loss and choice, and everything was kind of balanced out with, the Gestrels and SKA being, comedic relief, because I feel like this story really needed that.
Yeah. And you find out that Monoko was the name of the dog in the real world.
Yeah, and SKA was a stuffed something or other.
Yeah, the stuffed
Yeah.
animal. Do we want to talk about anyone's side quests at this point? Were there any standout ones?
Oh, CLs. That one hit me like a fucking truck. So, her...
We'll just say they're chucking a bit of a content warning here. I will chuck it in at the head of the episode as well. There is some infanticide in this next
Yeah, and infanticide and suicide, and yeah. So CL's whole backstory is that she used to be married, and it's never explicitly stated how her husband died. until you reach her relationship level, and she tells Verso that, I expected to live the amount of time that I had left with my husband, but no, I forget how he died, but he died prematurely and not from gamaging. So that was the first, emotional gut punch. And then
farming accident.
yeah, that
was how he died. Sorry, because they were farmers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then, after that, dealing with the grief and everything, she tells you that I couldn't handle it anymore, so I just started swimming. I jumped in the water and I just started swimming and swimming and swimming, and I let the waves take me because I didn't want to be alive anymore. And then, whenever I thought that the end was upon me, I woke up on the shore. And then, while the doctors were checking me out, I found out that I was pregnant and I lost the baby. So that was the second emotional gut punch. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the last one, right? Where you find out that she was pregnant, and then she basically killed her baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't. Yeah, because throughout the game, CL has a fear of swimming.
Yeah.
And in her personal quest, Verso helps her conquer her fear of the water. But SGA, when CL meets him face to face for the first time in his cave, he recognizes her and recalls, "Oh, it's nice to meet you again, CL." And this is like where the "I'm not crying, you're crying" moment kind of came for me. Was that SGA sensed CL on from the island, and he flew out, and he's the one that rescued her and stopped her from drowning.
Oh yeah, that was such a heart-wrenching moment because it was just so pure and very SGA. And
yeah,
because that was one of the questions that I had playing this game was how the fuck did SGA know CL when you've just met this character?
Yeah. Mael's relationship quests were also quite good, where you actually find out that there's a third axon that Renoir has created to house Alicia, the painting Alicia. Yeah. And you have to traverse up. It was too long in my opinion.
Agreed.
Traversing up this massive axon and fighting enemies along the way.
It was almost...
It took a good 45 minutes. Whereas the other companion quests were like 10, if that. And you go up to the top and you fight Alicia. Mael and Alicia accept each other and end up supporting each other and having a final face-off.
Yeah.
And you end up with Mael's, not her ultimate weapon in my opinion, but Alicia's saber.
Yeah.
And she kind of reconciles between Mael and Alicia there and becomes one person in a sense.
And I had issues with that fight, but then I didn't realize how easy it would be because I was just getting one shot KO'd, and I couldn't do it. I tried it for like 20 minutes and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do this one more time, and instead of trying to parry everything, I'm just going to try and dodge everything. So I did. I dodged everything, and then I just one attack, and that was it. So I was surprised. So now I understand your confusion with, you were having trouble with it?
My Mael was also very much a glass cannon, but was easily, by the time I completed that quest, easily doing over 300,000 with just normal attack.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't remember too much of SKA's backstory. His relationship quest.
Basically, it was getting another rock which gave you the ability to dive underwater.
Okay, yeah.
Because as soon as you hit Act 3, you also get the ability to fly, which opens up a lot of the super bosses and things like the Endless Tower. And it was just really to get that final traversal ability, which allows you to go and fight Simon, which is kind of Verso's character quest.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get one, because you technically play as Verso, even though I think they pull a Final Fantasy X, and Mael is actually the main character of the story, the way Luna was in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I didn't do Simon because I feel like I was a little under-leveled for that area.
You need at least one character at 99 in my opinion. I only just beat him. And they're like, oh, do you want to replay Simon? And I'm like, no, I do not.
See, I didn't even make it to Simon. I was having issues with the trash mobs before. So I was just like,
okay,
yeah, so I was like, I backed out and was like, I'm going to try and bring all this on New Game Plus.
Yep, it's very much the super boss of super bosses. So Simon was another expeditioner in Expedition 00 who travelled with Verso, basically one of Verso's close friends who he thought was dead. He was brought back in the painting from Clair, and real life Clair, sorry, because you also face painting Clair at some point. And he's hard, like he's got an AoE that wipes your front party anyway, regardless of what you do. So his final phase is using your reserve party.
Oh, that's what you meant. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that painting Clea was in this game until I stumbled across it looking up the thing for the white Neverons. Because if you come across the white Neverons, they're not combative, and they're like little side quests where you like help them out and you have to figure out what it is that they want because they all want something. So, and apparently she's the one behind all of that, and I didn't know that. I just happened to read it, and I was like, oh, well, it makes sense.
Yeah, her level is very interesting because you go up there and it's the old paintress's house or area where she lived, and you have to fight 4 basically bosses before it opens the door to fight Claire, and you kind of push her out of the painting from there after you beat her. And it sets Verso some closure.
Is this the manor?
Oh, sorry.
Because because throughout the game you come across doors that lead back to the manor, and I assumed that once.
No, it's not.
It's not. Okay. Yeah.
No, it's a separate area.
Okay.
In the sky.
Did you find?
And you need.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I was just. I looked up the achievements once I got to Act 3, because I wanted to do as much as I could in one playthrough. So I went up there, and it's real clear. I do apologize because she's painting all these Nevrons. It's quite a hard fight because she summons a lot of mobs that you have to kind of push through. But if you focus on her, then it's pretty good.
Okay.
I had a pretty stacked party at that point where it was like Mael went to Virtuoso stance first turn. Everybody accrued an extra AP per turn. So I had 1 turn of attacking, and then I could do the max level skills from there. And it's bye-bye bosses, except Simon.
Yeah. So it's safe to say that you did a lot more of the side content than I did.
Well, I think we did different side content, which balances out, because I didn't do any of the Nevron side quests or the finding the missing little fellas. Did you find any of the Gestral beaches, which is like these weird ass
I
minigames?
found one and I did it, and I assumed from the reward you got that the other Gestral beaches would just be more the same, so I just kind of left them alone after I finished the first one.
What was your task?
Uh,
Because they're all
yeah,
different.
the first one was it's the first one you come across, which is the uh running, jumping, spinning platforms.
Oh, the
Yeah.
parkour. Yep. Yeah, I fucking hated that one.
Yeah, it took me a while to get it, but once I did it and I was like, "Oh, well, here's a swimsuit." And I'm just like, "This is kind of pointless."
Oh, that was the fan service.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, I just assumed that because I think there's like 4 or 5 Gestral beaches that you can find, and I had just assumed that you
Yep.
would get swimsuits for all your characters. So I was like, I don't need to
Yeah,
do
it
any of
is.
that. So yeah,
Yep. At least it wasn't paid DLC like a lot of other.
right. Um, let
Although there is paid DLC, which is just a few
yeah.
costumes.
So let's jump back to the manor real quick. Did you find all the doors?
Majority of them, not
Yeah,
all
I
of them.
think I was missing out on 3 or 4, and I had assumed that whenever you opened all the doors, it would open up the painting room there at the end of the hallway. But
Ah, yeah.
because
I don't know.
because while you play the game, you come across these random ass doors in these random locations, and you could go into them, and you would find yourself back into the manor where you first meet the curator. Um, and you would explore the area and pick up treasure or whatever, and then you would go back out through the manor's front door, and you would exit where you went in the area that you had found the door. And so like throughout the game, you open up these doors that were previously locked, and I had just assumed that if you opened up all the doors, you would open up the final door, and I guess there was a big treasure there or something, but I never got to it.
Neither, and there wasn't an achievement tied to it, so which was surprising. Which makes me think maybe there wasn't a big reward.
Maybe I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, same. That's not something that's something I'll try and do on New Game Plus
Yeah.
maybe.
But all in all, I had a lot of fun with this game.
Yeah, any game where I want to actually do New Game Plus means that I had a good time with it. Um, I've heard a lot of like unsympathy, I guess, for Alicia's family, um, which is ties into French history, like I said, because they've always had real classist kind of wars, eat the rich kind of thing. The French people are very vocal about their protests. So I can understand where it comes from,
Yeah.
but I honestly felt a lot of sympathy for Renoir, particularly as a father. Like if I had something similar happen, I can say I would do exactly what he was doing if I was in his shoes.
Yeah. And and that kind of ties into the Verso path being, the more correct choice as far as, logic goes, because, the entire family is grieving, and Mael being young and full of naivete and not understanding how to deal with the emotions of losing her brother, her choice was correct for her. It's what she wanted. It's just,
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
absolute power corrupts, and that's exactly what happened.
There was something that I shared in the gaming news channel a little while ago, that I saw that you saw, about the devs releasing new content. I don't really know what it would be, but I would love to see, like I said, a prequel to the game, about the painters versus the writers.
Yeah, I feel like they could definitely,
Even where you play as Renoir.
yeah, I feel like they could definitely add on to the lore, because the lore of the real world just leaves more questions than answers. Like how are these people
Mm.
magical, and why is it that when they paint canvases they can go into these worlds, and it's just I would like to know more.
Yep. Is that what kind of content would you like to see from the game if there is more?
Um,
Just that,
I
or
just that, yeah. Uh, because like I said, we spend the entire game um in this canvas, and I would like some more lore with the real world and what's going on there, and
yeah?
you know, but
I would even be happy with like a if we see another expedition's journey, like for example Lune's parents' expedition, or someone who like Verso could have a cameo
yeah,
with. Um, yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I'll Halo Reach, um, knowing that you're going to die at the end, um, I think isn't going to stop it being a good game.
probably not. Uh,
But yeah, they've got a few avenues they could take. I look forward to seeing what the devs come up with because they produced a fantastic game.
agreed. Agreed.
Awesome. Do you have any final or closing thoughts? Anything that you feel could have been done better?
Mm, probably not. I mean, other than what we touched on earlier about uh, descriptors for pictos and luminas, and just
Yeah.
they gave tutorials for pretty much everything. I feel like they probably could have done a little tutorial for picto and lumina usage.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
I think we've pretty much touched on everything at this point.
Cool. So thank you once again for listening, everyone. Find us on the socials that I touted before the spoiler wall. Fenris, do you have anything you want to plug?
No, I mean, you can find me pretty much anywhere. And I'm Fenris Wolf Spain, Discord, Steam Epic, EA, GOG, Final Fantasy 14 on Gilgamesh. That's about it.
Cool. So once again, guys, our next game will be Chrono Cross. So if you have any experience or anything you want to say about that game, hit us up on our socials. If you want to do a game recommendation, which I talked about in the Steam Machine episode, was opening a fucking can of worms. I don't know that was the best idea, doing a listener request channel in the Discord from what came out of it. But if you have a game recommendation, please feel free to jump on over there. I know we have had one already, and a lot more in the Discord that I think we're gonna have to sift through and make an executive ruling on not doing some
That's
of them.
fair.
But basically, if we can play it without paying an exorbitant amount of money for it, we will play it. So kind of the schedule for the podcast moving forward, and if you're okay with this, Fenris, as well, will be a wheel spin, a host pick, a wheel spin, then a listener pick, and we will go from
That
there.
works for me.
Gives us some variety in our games as well, because I think we kind of stacked the fun versus fail, because we all picked games that we actually wanted to play. So a listener giving us a game, as much as it might hurt their feelings to hear it's a fail, will be good.
Yeah, and I was looking at some like indie RPGs and thinking about throwing forward some games that I have played. Because all the games that I put on our list were games that I don't think you had played, but I had. So
Okay.
so I was looking at some games that I haven't played, and I'm not sure if you have, but I haven't, and they looked really interesting, and they're mostly just like little indie RPGs. So
Quick games are good games
yeah,
sometimes. Awesome. Thank you once again for listening, guys.
Yes.
This has been Spectre Approved. I am Adam.
I'm Fenris.
And happy gaming.
Happy gaming.